Plaintiff Brian Galick says 6 months after he married the defendant, they started divorce proceedings because of the defendant's alcoholism. Brian claims he had his ex arrested after she left their 3-year-old son home alone for 14 hours while she went out drinking, and he's suing her today for a tax refund and a stolen stimulus check. Defendant Jessica Galick says after she married Brian, he physically and emotionally abused her. Jessica insists she only left her son home alone for 45 minutes, not 14 hours. And she's countersuing for defamation because she claims Brian lied about their son having fetal alcohol syndrome.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I just want to say it's an honor to be in your courtroom, Judge Mathis. My grandmother, before she passed away, my mother would take her to be in your audience and be in your courtroom. She really liked watching your show.
God bless her. Sorry to hear she passed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I met Jessica in 2000, late 2000. We got married like 6 months later. At that time, she basically told me she couldn't get pregnant, and she wasn't able to have children. Basically, when I met her, my father just passed away. I was kind of vulnerable to, try to have a relationship. Everything she basically stated to me while we were together was a lie. She is an alcoholic, or at that time, or in my opinion, still to this day.
Was she drinking at home?
No, she was like a closet drinker. But she would always go out with her girlfriends drinking and stuff and not come home until late at night.
Brian, that's not true.
When did you observe that? Within the first year?
I got married 6 months after we met.
Right.
When
did you observe it?
More so after we got married. A couple months. We got divorced
in
11 of 02.
That's what I was getting to. If they're alcoholic, you'll know in the first couple months.
Yeah, well, 6 months after we met, we got married. 6 months later, we were basically in divorce court. So it was kind of quick.
Why?
That's not
just
true.
Because, she got pregnant with my son. She was taking fertility drugs, though, at that time to get pregnant. We had TJ on March 19th of 2002. We separated in 11 of 02, November of 02. She's just a compulsive liar. She lies about almost anything that comes out of her mouth is a lie, in my opinion.
Ma'am?
In 7 of 05.
True, Your Honor.
It's not true?
Can I start at the beginning?
Yeah, let me allow her to give some background.
Please. First off, Brian is physically and emotionally abusive towards me and to the children.
When did he begin that?
When did he begin that?
Yes, ma'am.
The emotional abuse started after we got married.
Okay, what type?
The next week, he was asking me for a divorce.
Why?
Why? He wouldn't per se.
Okay.
He would not tell me why.
How was he abusive, though?
How was he abusive?
Yes, ma'am.
He would call me stupid. He would diminish my character right away.
Like what?
Call me a liar. Said I was cheating right away when I wasn't. I was not on fertility drugs, Your Honor. I was on Lupron injections, which puts you through menopause. It is for endometriosis.
Okay.
Mr. Galick would grab me.
That's not true.
I was pregnant right away, and it was an accident. The Lupron didn't take place. After that, we were notified that Mr. Galick had a 10-year-old daughter, with Miss Jody Galick now. After that, he was spending more time with Jody and her daughter. I found out by pictures. I didn't know of this right away. In January of 2002, he became abusive towards his children. We had fallen asleep, and they had gotten into chocolate chips. And he had asked the children why. They lied about it. He started spanking them, then went to the belt. After I had my son, he chased me around the yard with my son in arms and was throwing me again because I was going to leave him.
Okay.
And he was throwing me against the van.
All right.
To get me to drop our son so he could have my son.
Very quickly, is that true?
No. Real quick, can I just go over some more history here? Because there's a lot of information I'd like to get to you.
All right.
In July of 05, I dropped off my son by her residence. We received a phone call like at 10:30 from her sister that said that the children were at her house unattended. The officer notes in the police report that I have that there was kitchen knives, it was unsafe. She left the children there for 14 hours, which she was convicted of.
That is not true, Your Honor.
Let's see it. He says you were convicted of it, ma'am.
I was not convicted of 14 hours, Your Honor.
Of anything.
I was convicted of child
neglect?
endangerment, yes. And I believe I was falsely arrested.
Well, where were you? Where they
I
couldn't
went to
talk
the
to you?
store.
No, my point. Okay,
I
you
was
went to
gone
the
for
store.
45
Hold
minutes
on.
at the
You
most.
were only gone 45 minutes.
Yes.
And the police came to the house.
Yes.
And you were there.
Yes.
All right. And did they ask you about the allegations?
First, they asked me if me and Brian were fighting over Thomas.
Okay. Then what? How did we get to the child endangerment issue?
They asked where I was at, and I told them I went to the store.
Bottom line, they didn't believe you.
Your Honor.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
Your Honor, can I
Go
say
ahead.
something,
Come on
please?
up. State your name.
I'm Jody Gaelic, Brian's wife. As a matter of fact, in the police report, it does state that she, in her own words, quote unquote, was totally smashed, so she needed a ride home from a bar.
Ma'am?
I was not totally
Did you tell the
smashed.
police that?
No.
Secondly, it states in there in her own words, quote
She
unquote, that
admits
she had
to
to close the
staying
bars
out.
down.
Hold on. She admits that she left the children at home while she went out for her birthday.
Correct.
No, I did not admit to going out
At the
for my
following
birthday.
bars,
What-
she admits to staying out past 0200 hours. That means 2 a.m., I believe.
Correct.
Sir.
Because in her words, she closed the bars down.
Correct.
In her words, she was totally smashed. All right, let's get to the stimulus check and the tax refund.
In 2002, there was that stimulus check that went out for $3,200, which I have a copy of. I have the police report also, Your Honor. Me and my wife filed a joint tax return. My H&R Block agent that I have my taxes done called me up and said, Brian, you can't lie in your tax returns. You accepted $3,200 from the government and you need to pay tax on that. I was appalled by it. I said, I never received the check. I don't know, maybe the government's wrong. Well, she signed the copy of that check and cashed it. I made a police report after that because I had to pay the tax on it because it was in my Social Security name. It says here in the police report, if you want to give that to the judge, that she had it credit stamped, which clearly you can see that she signed my name. So I figure that half of that check would be mine and half would be her because in a divorce decree, which I have also, it says that everything was split 50-50.
Everything that was in
marital.
possession at the time of
Correct.
the divorce.
Correct.
And you're telling me that that check was still in possession in 2000, and when did you divorce?
2002.
2000, no, sir. You divorced in 2004.
2004.
Well, that's when it was finalized. We went
Yeah,
through.
that's what we go by.
Okay, yeah, but in 2004 it was all. It was supposed to be split 50-50.
And no. Only the assets that existed at that time are split.
Okay.
Not assets that have been spent. That's why I'm asking you, had this stimulus check been spent?
She
Brian
spent it.
had-
Right, and she had a right to. You all were married. When you're married, it's joint assets.
He left me
Okay.
with
Yeah, I mean, if your
$4,000
wife
in
spends
back
all your
bills.
money, you're not alone.
Okay.
Ma'am, what do you want to say to the refund and the stimulus check? Why didn't you share it with him?
It got paid towards mortgage
Okay.
and the night court bill and the combat bill that he left me with.
Okay, so you paid it toward the household bills?
Yes.
All right. And the emotional distress you're suing for is for what?
Well, that's my son, basically. My son has fetal alcohol syndrome.
He does not.
Your Honor.
I have
Your
proof.
Honor.
I have
Let's
proof,
see it.
Your Honor.
This woman says she has proof that that's not true, sir.
Okay.
Now you're going too far.
I have blood records from the hospital that state that me nor Thomas had alcohol in our system at the time of birth. Hang on.
The time of birth is
Nor.
probably correct.
Let's see
Brian,
what.
give him your evidence.
Here's basically the
Yeah, but
doctor
the time
and the
of
child.
birth is not the whole 9-month period,
Correct.
ma'am. You can obtain fetal alcohol
I
syndrome
didn't drink
during
at
the
all
time. Well, we're going to
of
see what it
pregnancy.
says. Thomas is a 7-year-old male and has been diagnosed with ADHD with a learning disorder and fetal alcohol spectrum disorder.
You know what, Your Honor?
I know. No.
Please,
Everybody's lying
may I
on you. I've
speak?
heard, ma'am, all the police are making up the words
No,
and putting
can
them
I
in your
please
mouth.
speak?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
all the Child Protective Services is lying on you. Now a doctor is making up
I've never seen
analysis
that.
of your son's medical condition. Your
Honor.
counterclaim for $5,000, ma'am, defamation and emotional distress for what?
Your Honor, when Thomas was dropped off to me the night that he dropped me off the last time I saw my son, he had mosquito bites so bad that they were infected.
That's it.
Yes.
These mosquito bites, sir, she alleges you dropped him off. And he does have, looks like, couple of dozen or dozens of mosquito bites on him. And she says they were infected and that you were negligent caring for him and it allowed these mosquito bites to occur.
TJ is allergic to mosquito bites. So anytime he gets a bite, it's going to swell up. The next day it's down.
So why did you let him have so much exposure? Why didn't he have some
we
spray
do
on
spray
him, sir?
off and stuff. And I don't even know if those pictures are from when I dropped them off, to be honest with you, Your Honor. Also, the tax check return that was this year's in 28 of 2008. What happened was she intercepted the state intercepted $2380 out of my income tax check this year.
That was for back
All right.
child support.
All right.
What does she have to do with that?
They gave it to her.
They gave it to her.
That was for
In
back child
08?
support.
in 08.
All right.
I have
She
that.
says it was for back child support. Let's see.
I have
And I
proof.
got proof to show otherwise.
I
right.
have proof.
All right. Let me see what she has. She might be telling the truth. Let's take a look. Sir, I am looking at a uniform order of support entered in 05. Sir?
What happened was the paperwork, because she keeps going down and filing.
Sir, when you bring back an order from child support saying you are owed, then you can get it.
Your
Okay.
Honor, we
I have it.
that.
I need something that says the defendant owes the plaintiff $2,370. Show me where it says because of a tax refund check. I know you can't. Your case is dismissed. You don't have such a decree ordering you to receive any monies from her. Your claim is dismissed, ma'am, because you haven't proven to me any of the allegations you've made with regard to these mosquito bites. I'm not granting you $5,000 for that either, because I'm not sure how and when the child received those mosquito bites. You all have a good day.